Record COVID cases are stretching hospital capacity across the country. The federal government is under pressure to provide more rapid tests and to approve antiviral treatments. To get a sense of the impact of Omicron on Canada's biggest cities, we're joined by Mike Savage, the Mayor of Halifax, and Toronto Mayor John Tory. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure.
Mayor Savage, I'd like to start with you. Where do you see the biggest challenge right now in your city as Omicron cases continue to rise? Oh, I'm not sure Mayor Savage can hear me there. So, well, Mayor Tory, I'll give you that question while we'll see if we need to sort that out. I mean, what is the biggest challenge facing the city of Toronto right now in this outbreak?
Well, I mean, the biggest challenge is obviously making sure that we can contain the spread of this variant. And the biggest assignment that we have as cities, among many, is to vaccinate people. That's something that is being done by cities. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it across the country. But, we need to keep operating the transit systems to get people to those vaccination clinics. We need to keep, operating the fire department and the police and the paramedics and look after homeless people. So there's a lot of things we have to keep doing. Our principal assignment in terms of trying to cope with what's going on with the case counts you made reference to is getting people vaccinated. And that's something that we're doing well, but we need to have the backup to continue with that effort.
Well, you're about at 86% in Toronto, if my math is right, of the 12-plus population. I mean, who are the holdouts and how do you reach them?
Well, I mean, there's quite a disparity in Toronto, as there is in some other cities that are as diverse as Toronto, as between those neighborhoods that are more comfortable and settled than, say, some of the more marginalized communities. And the difference might be as much as, say, 80% vaccinated, 80% of kids, for example, vaccinated in the more comfortable neighborhoods versus 25 or 30%. So this has been a problem throughout. And of course, it's sad to say, in addition to all that, that the areas that have been hardest hit by the virus have been the ones that have been more marginalized. So we're doing a very targeted approach, building by building, street by street. We have hundreds of ambassadors that are going door to door to get over people's hesitations, to comfort them, reassure them, and to make it easier for them to get vaccinated. And that's what we're doing. And it's just day by day, shot by shot, as it has been since the beginning of the vaccination campaign a year ago.
We've got schools opening on Monday across Ontario, Mayor Tory, and obviously that includes Toronto. I mean, I know you've been a big supporter of the return to in-class learning. How comfortable are you with what we're seeing in terms of the safety and precaution measures that have been put in place by the Ford government?
Well, I think it's a work in progress. They've talked today about, masks and about additional air purifying machines to put into the schools, which they're doing. We are ramping up together with them a significant vaccination effort for teachers and students. And so it's going to be one of those things where I think the schools wouldn't be getting reopened if it wasn't going to be something where we could maintain a reasonable level of safety for the kids and for the teachers. But we're doing our best. Our role as a city, we don't run the schools in Ontario. Our role is to do everything we can to support the province and the school boards to get the schools open safely. And in our case, that's mainly vaccination clinics in schools, vaccination clinics. We're doing special ones on the weekend for education workers and trying to do what we can to make sure that everybody remains safe.
Okay, I think we have Mayor Savage connected there now. Mayor Savage, I wasn't trying to exclude you from the conversation, but technology got the better of us here, and I do enjoy talking to Mayor Tory. But I'd like to bring you in here now in terms of the challenges facing cities during the Omicron wave. And I know one of the issues in Halifax has been that it's caused homeless shelters to close because of COVID outbreaks. How are you dealing with that challenge?
Well, I can tell you, David, it is a big issue. And as Mayor Tory was saying, it does hit the most vulnerable the hardest. We are opening this week in Halifax. We have paid for modular units at a cost of some $5 million to house people in Halifax. It's a provincial responsibility. The provincial government is working on this as well, but we're supporting them by making this significant investment because we need people to have a home. There's a lot of people unhoused or underhoused that need support. And so we're all kind of pitching in on this to try to make sure that we can provide that. That's a big expense for a city like Halifax. If you add that to the loss of transit, which Mayor Tory can talk about, the incredible hit that they have. We're all going through a budget right now. We're looking at housing, we're looking at transit, we're looking at the increased cost of PPE and the increased cost of keeping essential services going, police, fire. We've got a storm coming again in Halifax. We had one last week, and making sure we have the right number of people out clearing the streets. There's a lot of challenges, and we don't have the fiscal capacity of the other orders of government. So there's a lot of work ahead of us.
Well, Mayor Savage, on that, Nova Scotia, not that it's been spared during the pandemic, but the Atlantic provinces, and like my home province of Newfoundland and Labrador, they've been pretty good until now. Omicron's changed everything for the Atlantic provinces. So what are the new challenges that Halifax has to deal with that you didn't have to deal with in previous waves?
Well, I think like everybody else, everybody knows people who have COVID. My neighbors have COVID. I have relatives who have COVID. It's just an incredibly transmissible disease. And I think that, if everybody's vaccinated, and particularly with their third shots, the illness is much less severe. But it does mean that there are a lot of people who are off work. And in some cases, that's essential services that challenge cities like it challenges everybody else. And so we've had a number of conversations with the other orders of government about support. The restart agreement of a year and a half ago now. I mean, think about restarting the economy a year and a half ago. And we still have tremendous shortfalls in transit operating and other expenses. And we're also seeing, frankly, the hit on our commercial tax base now, because commercial taxes are based on a lot of buildings that were empty for a large part of last year and the year before as well. So there's a lot of challenges that we have to face, and we're looking to the support of other orders of government as we work through those.
Mayor Tory, I know there is no shortage of vaccines per se. The country has enough vaccines, but we still don't have everyone fully vaccinated. Aside from that, I mean, what would be the biggest need right now for a city like Toronto to get through the rest of this wave?
I think, frankly, the assurance that can come from the other governments that they're going to step in to help us. I mean, we have been the ones that have kept the transit systems going to get the essential workers to work. We've been the ones that have been carrying, and quite properly so, the sort of heaviest burden with respect to getting vaccinations done. And we've done it at a pace across the country in cities that can make us proud in the world. But we are in a situation, Mayor Savage mentioned, transit system. In Toronto's case, we're half the normal ridership. The normal ridership is 1.5 million people a day. And when you're half that ridership now because of COVID, or less than half, that is costing you millions of dollars a day. And we have no way of making that up. Cities don't. Mm-hmm. And we've had the good fortune to have the province and the federal government help us out in the past year. But this time what's going on is that the province has indicated a willingness to help. But we've had really no such signal recently. During the election, they had some good words to say. And I believe that's not in the best interest of a strong economy for Toronto. But Toronto's economy makes up almost 20% of the country's economy. So we need to keep our finances in good order and get some help from those governments so that we can proceed to do the things that we're doing, keeping transit going, sheltering homeless people, vaccinating people, which is the number one priority that we have. So I think that beyond getting people vaccinated, my top priority certainly is to get the finances in order. And it's no fault of ours. It's not through profligate spending. It is because transit ridership is down by half. And if you're losing 750,000 riders a day times $3 a ride, you can do the math on how much money that represents every single day in the economic engine of the country.
Okay, Mayor Savage, very quickly, same question to you. What is the single biggest need Halifax is facing right now at this point in the pandemic?
Well, like a lot of municipalities, like Toronto, which is beginning the budget process, we're in our budget process, and we have shortfalls that we can't make up. We don't run deficits. We don't have the fiscal capacity of other orders of government. We have shortfalls in transit. We're also trying to support our businesses by eliminating things like patio fees so that the restaurants who've been so hard hit have a chance to come back. So support from other orders of government would be very important. We need investments in things like transit down the road, but right now we need to keep transit going. We need to get people to the hospitals, whether they're workers, whether they're patients, whether they're keeping the other essential parts of the economy going. We can't not invest in transit, so we need some help from the other orders of government, and those conversations continue.
Okay, well, good luck to both of you, Mayor Savage, Mayor Tory. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.